What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to talk about my recent progress for my LKN Champion. But before we start the video, do you have problems AFK grinding in ROX? Do you always worry that you may overcharge or the battery of your phone, tablet, or laptop may overheat? Do you worry about your electricity bill when grinding using your personal computer that is running for days non-stop? Or do you encounter intermittent connection from your internet service provider, which disconnects your character when AFK grinding? Well, if that is the case, then UgPhone can solve all of your problems. UgPhone is a cloud phone that runs independently in the cloud, and it does not consume the memory or battery of your physical device. Even if you close the UgPhone app, your game will still continue to run in the cloud, which makes this the perfect phone for AFK grinding for 24 hours, 7 days a week non-stop.
Nice.
You can also run multiple instances of UgPhone in one account, which allows you to play and grind multiple games simultaneously. As you can see, my Shura and Royal Guard are AFK grinding at the same time. UgPhone is available in Google Play for Android, App Store for iOS, Windows Store for PC, and you can also use a web browser to run UgPhone. So if you want to try out UgPhone, you can use my link shown in the description below. And you can also use my invitation code, which really helps me out. So thank you guys, and thank you UgPhone for the sponsor. Now let's get back to the video. Finally, I've reached the second Transcendent class, which is the Champion class. Although I was able to reach this last Friday, I was quite busy on that day and even yesterday, which is why I wasn't able to post about it during that time. So without further ado, let's talk about my recent progress. Since you already know that my build is an STR or Strength LKN, we will no longer go through my stats. Let's go directly to the skills that I am using in both PvE and PvP. First is the Acolyte skills. In this class, you only need 3 skills, which are the Blessing, Increase Agility, and Kyrie. The first two are basically your stat buffs, and the Kyrie skill is for survivability, as it gives you a shield. For the Monk class, the most important skills are the Spirit Sphere attack, Call Spirits, Zen, and Finger Offensive. To give you a quick run-through on these skills, the Spirit Sphere attack allows you to shoot the Spirit Spheres to your target instead of doing melee attacks. So basically, this skill allows you to transform into a range type class. The Call Spirits is the skill that allows you to recover the Spirit Spheres that you are using to cast your skills like the Finger Offensive. The Zen is an active skill that allows you to also recover your Spirit Spheres all at once. So again, these skills are a necessity to your build as you need these spheres to cast your skills. Now for the last skill, which is the Finger Offensive, this is the skill that is commonly used in both PvE and PvP, regardless if this is in the early game or up until the late game. Now, you may be wondering, what about the Critical Explosion build? This is a must-have skill. However, in the early game, this is not necessary. Why? Because even though it increases your physical attack by an additional 10%, it will also consume all the Spirit Spheres that you have in the process. Remember, in the early stages of the game, especially when you are a Monk class, you don't have the other passive skills that allow you to recover your spheres. You can unlock those skills when you reach the Champion class. So it is important to allocate your skill points in the 4 skills that I've mentioned first. If you have extra skill points after that, then go ahead and put it in the Critical Explosion skill. Another question that will be asked is, what about the Investigate and Key Wave skills? Well, to be honest, the Investigate skill is not really used because of the Finger Offensive skill. For the Key Wave, I usually use this if there are spots where monsters are close to each other. However, the problem that we usually encounter in new servers is that most leveling spots are full of other players. So finding a spot where monsters are closely stacked together is very hard, especially if there are alchemist classes which can literally one-hit a cluster of monsters. Now, for the final question that will surely be asked, why don't I put skill points in the Iron Fist skill? Well, since I am an STR build, this skill will have minimal impact to my stats, simply because the multiplier for this skill is the agility stat. Another reason why I didn't prioritize this skill is because I am anticipating the must-have skills in the champion class. These skills from the champion are very important to an LKN build. But don't get me wrong, once I have extra skill points in the future, I will add points to this skill just to get the additional stats. Now, moving on to the champion class, there are two important skills that you need to max out ASAP when you reach this class. These skills are the Assimilate Power and Gentle Touch. This is because these skills are resource recovery skills that will allow you to recover your spirit spheres a lot faster. The Assimilate Power skill allows you to gain one spirit sphere in normal state whenever you cast the Finger Offensive and other damage dealing skills. And when you are in critical explosion state, you have a chance to recover 2 spirit spheres. On the other hand, the Gentle Touch skill allows you to recover 1 spirit sphere every time you attack an opponent. In addition to that, whenever you are attacked by an opponent and lose 10% of your max HP, you will also be able to generate 1 spirit sphere. So again, these two passive skills are very important for an LKN build. It may seem that recovering 1 spirit sphere is not really a big deal, but you will definitely see the difference once you max these two skills out. The next skill that is good to have for this class is the Power Velocity skill. Now, in my opinion, this skill is more for PvE, specifically in boss hunts, because this will inject your opponent with the Inner Strength debuff that will last for 13 seconds. Once the opponent has this Inner Strength, every time you deal damage to the target, you will be able to trigger the Inner Strength, which deals additional damage to your opponent. At level 10, there is also a 10% chance to regenerate 1 Spirit Sphere every time you trigger the Inner Strength. The reason why I think this is more for PvE than PvP is because most of the time, fights in PvP will only last a few seconds, and you usually fight multiple opponents at the same time. So if that is the case, then you won't be able to utilize the Inner Strength in battle, which is why I think this is more for MVP and mini hunts, because you are only fighting one monster, and this usually takes a few minutes before it gets taken down. Moving on to the next skill that is good to have, it is the Body Relocation skill. This skill is a mobility skill that allows you to either move away or move closer to your opponent. This skill is more commonly used in PvP for HKN and LKN builds. In PvE, this skill is usually used more by HKN builds because they are melee characters, as compared to an LKN which can attack at a safe distance. For the other skills like the Blade Stop and Rampage Blaster, I will use these skills if there are spots that I can grind solo, since most of the time, the leveling areas are filled with other players. I will probably stick with the Finger Offensive skill in AFK grinding. Now that we've seen the skills that I am using, let's now go to the Shadow equipment. I am currently at SE3, however, I am planning to rush SE4 because I want to level up certain skills. So my Inscription and Pioneer are all maxed out. For me personally, every time I level up my Shadow equipment, I will always try to max out the Inscription and Pioneer because these are still stats that can help your character. Moving on to Bound, I don't really use any of these skills as of the moment. For Engraved, currently I am using the Finger Offensive 1. But the reason why I want to rush to SE4 is because I want to unlock and use the Finger Offensive 2. This is way better than the first FO because the double damage trigger rate is higher and it adds additional damage every 500 physical or magical defense of your opponent. So this will be the skill that you need to level up whenever you upgrade your Shadow equipment. For Validation, You either have to pick between Spirit Sphere 1 or 2. This is because the first one is for PvE and the other skill is for PvP. The first skill will give you an additional final physical damage bonus, while the second skill will give you an additional PvP final physical damage bonus. For Contract, Assimilate Power is the only skill that you need, because it increases the chance of regenerating your Spirit Spheres. I will no longer discuss Soul because you can only use these skills when you are SE7 and above. So for now, I will only talk about the skills that I can use. Moving on to the pets for an LKN, the most commonly used pets for this class is the Desert Wolf and Verit pets. In my opinion, if you are planning to go for a fire enhancement build, then the Desert Wolf is the way to go. While the Verit pet is also a good pet to use because the talent skill has now been updated by ROX. Before, in order to get the damage increase from the Verit's talent skill, the opponent should be in a hiding state and the pet will mark and reveal them using its skill. Once they are revealed, when you attack them, you will get an additional damage increase. However, in one of the most recent updates by ROX, they have changed that condition and instead, the damage increase will be applied every time the Verit uses its skill. At the same time, the debuff skills of the Verit pet can also give you a huge boost in DPS. So again, both pets are good. It is really up to the player's preference on which one to use. Another pet that is good for this class is the Toad pet. However, that will depend if you have the budget to get this pet. Now, for my equipment, I haven't been really progressing that fast. I am just trying to unlock the Upgrade Awakening Tier 3, and then after that, I'll try my luck and +4 all my armors. Once I've completed that, then I will focus on enchantments. So basically, no huge changes in my equipment. I also haven't started saving up diamonds for my target gold equipments. This is because based on what I see, the current economy of the region is quite bloated. Since this region and its 3 subservers are fairly new, the demand in the exchange center are quite high versus the available supply. So the prices are quite bloated and erratic. I will probably wait for a few months for the prices to settle down, so I am not really in a rush in buying my target gold equipments. One thing that I've learned from playing ROX for several years now is that for F2P players, this game is a marathon and not a sprint. Meaning, we have to pace ourselves. Being an F2P is a long and hard journey. If we try to rush our progress, we will only get stressed and burn ourselves out. So for me, I progress my characters at my own pace and just enjoy the ride. And that's it for today's video. If you have any questions about my build, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to see more ROX content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. GG!
You're a superhero.